Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Jamunatira Vanachari. Jamunatira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Shri Radha Vrindavan Chandra ki, Jai Go Premanande. So thank you very much, Jai Krishna Prabhu, for this kind opportunity to read Srimad Bhagavatam with the devotees. Thank you, dear devotees, for attending. Devotees are here in person, devotees online. And special prayers and thanks to Mother Malati Prabhu, who is currently, well, she's recovering. So I hope she gets better soon. So our prayers are with her. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So how many are doing japa on a daily basis, chanting Hare Krishna? I think everybody here, without exception. Wonderful, thank you. So, I guess this topic is relevant then. I labeled this verse, or this topic, today's class, permanent japa in a temporary life. And the verse for today is assigned, Srimad Bhagavatam 3:30, verse number 3. So Canto 3, verse 30. Chapter 30, verse number 3. So kindly repeat after me. Yada dhruvasya dehasya sanubandhasya durmati Dhruvani manyate mohad Griha kshetra vasunicha Yada dhruvasya dehasya sanubandhasya durmati Dhruvani manyate mohad griha kshetra vasunicha. Kindly recite. Yada dhruvasya dehasya sanubandhasya durmati Dhruvani manyate mohad griha kshetra vasunicha. Yada dhruvasya dehasya sanubandhasya durmati Dhruvani manyate mohad griha kshetra vasunicha. Yada dhruvasya dehasya sanubandhasya durmati Dhruvani manyate mohad griha kshetra vasunicha. Yada dhruvasya dehasya sanubandhasya durmati Dhruvani manyate mohad griha kshetra vasunicha. Yada dhruvasya dehasya sanubandhasya durmati Dhruvani manyate mohad griha kshetra vasunicha. Yad adhruvasya dehasya sanubandhasya durmati Dhruvani manyate mohad griha kshetra vasunicha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The misguided materialist does not know that his very body is impermanent, and that the attractions of home, land, and wealth, which are in relationship to that body, are also temporary. Out of ignorance only, he thinks that everything is permanent. Purport. The materialist thinks that persons engaged in Krishna consciousness are crazy fellows. That's us. Wasting time by chanting Hare Krishna. But actually he does not know that he himself is in the darkest region of craziness because of accepting his body as permanent. And in relation to his body, he accepts his home, his country, so you see the griha kshetra, etc. His home, his country, society, and all of the paraphernalia as permanent. This materialistic acceptance of the permanency of home, land, etc. is called the illusion of Maya. This is clearly mentioned here. Mohad griha kshetra vasuni. Out of illusion only does the materialist accept his home, his land, and his money as permanent. Out of this illusion, the family life, national life, and economic development, which are very important factors in modern civilization, have grown. A Krishna conscious person knows that this economic development of human society is but temporary illusion. But in another part of Srimad Bhagavatam, the acceptance of others as kinsmen in relationship to this body and the acceptance of the land of one's birth as worshipable are declared to be products of an animal civilization. When, however, one is enlightened in Krishna consciousness, he can use these for the service of the Lord. That is a very suitable proposition. Everything has a relationship with Krishna. When all economic development and material advancement are utilized to advance the cause of Krishna consciousness, a new phase of progressive life arises. Purport ends here. Om Ajnanatimmirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshuramitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pachane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashaya Jnane. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances again. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. This is a very sobering verse. It's not merely philosophical. It's not just cosmological. It is not only meant to give us detachment in some abstract sense. This verse is meant to expose a deep disease of the conditioned soul. The disease is not simply attachment. The deeper disease is miscalculation. The deeper disease is that we take the temporary to be permanent. We've miscalculated the time scales. We're way off. Kapila, this is Kapil Dev speaking. He's describing the durmati, the word in the first line, durmati, the materially bewildered person, the misguided person, the person whose intelligence has been bent by illusion. And what is the symptom? The symptom is that he sees an impermanent body and imagines permanence. He sees temporary relationships around the body and imagines permanence. He sees home, land, wealth, social structures, identity, extensions of the ego, and imagines permanence. And because he imagines permanence, he lives carelessly. That is the real problem. When something seems permanent, when it appears to be permanent, we postpone transformation. We postpone our need to transform. When something seems permanent, we become lazy in our sense of urgency. When something seems permanent, we assume there will always be tomorrow. That is our miscalculation. And that is why this verse should deeply affect our chanting. I put this picture up here for a reason. Because you're all practicing japa, and inattentive japa is often rooted not merely in bad habits, poor habits, but in a subtle assumption. What is that? I still have time. I don't have to be that good today. Prabhupada said, one of your biggest problems is that you think you have enough time. You don't have the sense of urgency to really take our japa to the next level today. I can become serious later. I can chant very deeply another day. I can continue carrying this distracted inner life for now. At some future point, I will become wholehearted. But this verse says no. That very calculation is part of illusion. Sometimes we think, oh yeah, we read these verses, that doesn't apply to us because we are already Hare Krishnas. But can we apply it to our japa? Our sense of urgency to really transform. What do I need to do? It says, adhruvasya dehasya. The body, dhruva means steady. Adhruva means unsteady. We never know when something will go wrong in the body. And it doesn't just happen in old age. We've all had some pain. We've all experienced toothache. We've all experienced maybe broke a bone, perhaps, or got a bruise at least, or skinned the knee, or some injury, or a headache, or a stomach ache, or some other deeper disease. Adhruvasya dehasya. The phrase reminds us that the body is not fixed, it's not stable, or even dependable. It is always changing and moving. It's hurtling toward what? It's hurtling toward death. And we think we have time. We know this philosophically, philosophically we know it. But Maya makes us live as though the body were secure enough to justify endless postponement of our transformation. Now Prabhupada says, materialists think devotees are crazy for chanting. That's the purport. But the real craziness, of course, he explains, is to organize our whole life around what's vanishing. It's going to disappear. If the body is temporary, then our japa cannot be casual. My rounds cannot be mechanical. My mornings cannot be optional. Every opportunity to chant seriously matters. Another point in the verse, sa-anubandhasya. Sa-anubandhasya, that's the verse, in the word in the verse. All bodily extensions are temporary. Right, so Kapil Dev says, sa-anubandhasya means not only the body, but everything connected is also temporary. So this verse is not just about the body, of course. It includes things built around bodily identity, our home, our comfort, our status, our plans, our finances, our family identity, our prestige, our sense of security. We dwell on this a lot. It's not that these are not important, but we make them all important. For progressive devotees, the issue is not merely possessing something, but mental solidity. What have I inwardly treated as too permanent? What do I keep thinking is permanent? Even though philosophically I know, but still, I behave as though it's really, really permanent. What loss still shakes me a little too deeply? Yes, we get shaken a little bit, but a little bit too much. What is that loss? What disturbance still ruins my japa? So whenever and wherever I become overly destabilized, I may discover that what I've mentally treated as dhruva, as fixed, is not really fixed. This verse exposes those false anchors. So why do we not chant with greater depth? How many devotees feel that there's some room for improvement in their japa? Some room, at least a little bit, Jai. Some of you raised 2 hands, so yes, very nice. Why do we not chant with greater depth? There are practical reasons, yes. But underneath them is often a subtler issue. We do not feel enough what we call existential urgency. As long as worldly arrangements still appear somewhat dependable, chanting remains important, but not yet desperate. We want desperate chanting. We may chant regularly, of course, even faithfully, but without the inner pressure. Real chanting often begins when illusions begin to crack. Haven't you noticed sometimes you see a major illusion crack in your life, something that you held so dearly, it was very, but it's temporary, and you realize, oof, this is the naked truth of life. And you chant much better, like really chant with a sense of desperation. I'm sure you've all experienced this. When we see my body is not secure, my plans are not secure, my world cannot hold me, then the holy name it's not just a practice anymore, it becomes a shelter. Then one does not merely recite, one calls out to the Lord. Hare Krishna. Now, the verse mentions family life. The problem is not family life. The problem is forgetfulness. We should be careful not to misunderstand this verse. Kapila Dev is not condemning practical responsibilities. You have to do those things. Srila Prabhupada clearly says that home, wealth, social structures can all be used in Krishna's service. He says that in the purport. Please read the purports very carefully. The issue is not whether we have responsibilities. The issue is whether those responsibilities make us forget our utter dependence on the Lord. Even a little bit. Every little thing we accomplish, we recognize our dependence on the Lord. We declare our dependence on the Lord. We're in America, we're used to declaring independence. But we declare our dependence on the Lord. So the real question is not, do I have a home? No, that's not the question. That's not even the disqualification, of course. But has my home made me forget my real shelter? Not, do I have resources? But do my resources deepen my service, or do they reinforce a false sense of self-sufficiency? The greatest danger for progressive, mature devotees is often not gross materialism, but a subtle kind of insulation that we build. Externally devotional, internally not desperate enough for the holy name. So this verse is a wake-up call for serious japa. How should this verse affect our japa? First, it should make our chanting urgent. I don't know how many attentive rounds I have remaining in this life. Second, it should make our chanting more honest. We don't need to pretend we're better chanters than we actually are. We need to be honest. I am more distracted and attached than I often admit to myself. So let's be honest and find where we need to work on. We all know where those things are hiding. Third, it should make our chanting dependent. Not that I know how to chant, but my Lord, please teach me how to call upon you. With a sense of humility, a sense of feeling. Fourth, it should make our chanting deeper when you reflect on it. When I stop expecting permanence from temporary things, I become more available for my relationship with the Lord. Remember, relationships based on emotional availability. Have you heard of this? Sometimes couples, they're married for a long time, but the wife will complain, "You're just not emotionally available." "Yeah, but I spent all day with you." "No, but you're not." We're sitting together, but there's no emotional availability. Am I available for the Lord when I chant? And that leads naturally to this framework that I learned from His Holiness Sachinandan Swami Maharaj, called the 4 gates to advanced japa. It's one of my favorite topics to talk about because I found this framework to be quite transformative. And once illusion begins to crack, our soul is finally ready to learn how to approach the holy name properly. So after hearing a verse like this, the question becomes, if I truly understand that the body is temporary and all its extensions are temporary, then how should I be chanting? Not vaguely, not sentimentally, not theoretically. How do I take this sobering realization and convert it into transformed japa? That is where this 4 gates framework is so helpful. Because the 4 gates, they don't present japa as a vague mystical hope shot in the dark. They present it as a progression, a progressive entering in, one by one, step by step. And we'll go through this. When we hear Prabhupada's japa tape, when he's chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare, listen carefully. He interrupts his japa 2 times in the tape to give a very important instruction. Anybody know? Yes, that's right. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Say it properly. Jai Prabhupada. You sit properly. We learn to sit properly. Gate number 1. We learn to listen properly. Gate number 2. We learn to cry properly. Gate number 3. And we learn to wait properly. Gate number 4. This is in very simple terms. And that is beautiful. Because this verse from today has already done the work, the first great work, to shake us out of our illusion. We realize that we've invested too much emotion in things that are utterly inconsequential. And we've deprioritized things that are of greatest consequence. Now the gates teach us how to respond to that realization. So, what are the 4 gates? Sit properly, listen properly, cry properly, and wait properly. I'll put it in more structured words. Okay? Gate number 1 is the fundamentals. Sit properly. The first gate is our body, the external things. This is extremely important. That's why Prabhupada told us to sit properly. Sometimes devotees want to rush to higher states while neglecting basic embodiment. We have to realize we are in this body. We are not the body, but we are in this body and we're using the body. That's important to also realize and understand. Chanting is a practice that is done using the body. Right? You can't produce the sound, you can't hear unless you have the body intact, right? We are embodied souls, and the body can either assist remembrance or, depending on how you place it, it can sabotage your remembrance. So, sit properly means sit up straight. Prabhupada always sat up straight, even though he was quite elderly. But you see his photographs sitting up straight and chanting. And we have no excuse. We should sit up straight. It doesn't matter if you can't sit on the floor. That's not important. You can sit on a chair or you sit on the floor. It doesn't matter where you sit, but sit up straight. Our posture affects our mood. If you're slouching, all of a sudden you decide to sit up straight, you'll notice the energy change. And you smile and you feel, your body language tells the person who's in front of you how much you mean to them. It shows that you care. It shows your attention. If a guest comes and you're slouching and you're just lying down, you're looking at your phone or something, it's an important guest. They don't feel very welcome. You don't need to say anything. You can say, welcome, welcome, come on. You may be saying something, but your body language is saying something else. So our body language has to align with the welcoming. Second part of sitting properly is pronunciation. We pronounce clearly. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Sometimes in an effort to go fast, we slur it and things get blurred. Some very unusual things you can hear people chanting. Here, kitty, 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 here, kitty, like you call it a cat. Or, hey mama, 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 hey, hey. No, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna. Chant clearly. Pronounce clearly. Wake up early. Take full advantage of the morning hours, the pre-dawn hours. These are all external things. These are not big deal things. Sitting straight, keeping a clean space. Sacred space, either come to the temple or if you're at home, make sure you sit in a clean space or a little altar area if you have. Protect that space. When you sit in a designated space for japa, your body immediately feels the message. Something special is going to happen here. Just keep one corner. Put a cushion there. Create the sacred boundaries. Why is this connected to the verse? Because if I think the body is permanent, I may just be addicted to comfort and just live for the comforts of the body. But if I know the body is temporary, then I can recruit the body into the service of the Lord. See? This temporary body becomes a conscious instrument for sitting properly and connecting with the eternal name. This is powerful. Our body is not ultimate, but it can be offered. Remember, there's proper ways to offer things to the Lord. Similarly, we should offer our body on a silver platter to the Lord in a proper way, by sitting properly. Don't ignore the body. Consecrate the body. When I pick up my beads, my posture, my breath, my wakefulness, they're all saying something that this moment matters. And you're telling the Lord without even saying something, my Lord, I'm interested in you. We only have one job in this whole life to do, is to prove to the Lord, I am interested. The Lord does everything else. But to prove that to Him, because all the time we've been telling Him, I'm not interested. So now we have to undo all that to prove finally, my Lord, I'm interested. And that's all that matters. But it happens here in japa. Gate number 2, the mind. Very difficult. And yet not that hard. We should understand clearly with our mind and intellect that Krishna is His holy names. Fine, very easy. But this is a crucial gate because once the body is settled, the mind becomes exposed. And what do we discover? The mind is constantly trying to relocate our life into side narratives. Commentary, planning, reviewing, explaining, remembering, anticipating, complaining, managing, and so many other categories the mind is very good at. I mean, why should I waste my 2 hours? I'm going to chant Hare Krishna. I can do multitasking. No. Why does the mind want to keep doing this? Because the mind is still trying to maintain control over the temporary world. And what does the verse tell us? Forget about it. It is orbiting around those 3 things. Griha, kshetra, vasuni. Land, home, stuff, things, resources, plans, identity, management of externals. So gate number 2 is not merely attention training. It's an act of detachment. It's not repression, it is recentering. The mind has wandered for years and years through corridors of impermanence, clinging to unstable things. It will not become obedient in one morning, but with repeated firmness, loving firmness, the mind learns a new seriousness, a new gravity, a new sobriety, a new dignity. Dignity of just here. Keep quiet, my dear mind, and focus the full focus of your mind on the names only. Prabhupada was asked this question. What should I think about? Prabhupada didn't say, oh, try to visualize the deity. Try to think of the past time. No. He never said that. Don't add layers to your mind while doing japa. He said, just focus on the sound. Several times. What kind of question is that, he would say? Mind? Nothing. You just focus on the sound with your mind. That's it. You're chanting Hare Krishna and you're hearing. The mind, you focus on the sound. The sound is where Krishna is. The sound contains everything, all the potencies, all the pastimes, all in the sound. Don't think now you'll have to supplement that, because now you're distracting from it. Just focus on the sound. Absorb, embrace the sound completely. The name only becomes the center. Hearing only becomes the activity. Then the third gate is heartfelt emotion. This is where the verse becomes intimate. It's one thing to know that the body is temporary. It's another thing to let that realization soften the heart. Many devotees are strong at philosophy. You know so many verses. We're decent at discipline, not bad, but we're guarded in softening the heart. We don't want to let go. We can chant correctly without chanting vulnerably. But if I truly understand adhruvasya dehasya, the first line, then what should happen? My heart should become softer. My calling out to the Lord should be more personal. My dependence should be less theoretical. I should have some taste for calling out the name. And if I don't have a taste, I should cry for not having the taste. Who cries for saying he has no taste? Who's that very famous personality who cries and says, I have no taste for the name? Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Durdaiva midrisham ihajani nanuraga. Shikshashtakam. Look at my misfortune, I have no taste for these holy names. Namnamakari bahuda nija sarva shaktis. You've put your full potency in your names and I have no taste for them. He's crying. You think Mahaprabhu has no taste for the holy name? Of course he does. But he's crying to teach us what we should be crying about. That feeling. See? This is a different sound. It's not necessarily loud. It's not even necessarily dramatic. It's not emotional performance. It's not trying to squeeze out some fake tears. It's about honest understanding. Okay? So gate 3 says, open the chamber of the heart. Offer what you have honestly. And this is where japa starts becoming a cry. Now the fourth gate, the handle is on the other side. It's not on our side. That's the gate of mercy, where we wait properly now. We call this surrendered waiting. After doing what is in our control, we abandon all sense of entitlement and wait before the holy name as servants without conditions or demands or timelines. This connects to this verse very beautifully. Because one reason we struggle in japa is that we still approach the holy name with a consumer mentality. We're conditioned to be consumeristic. I did my rounds. Where's the result? Where is the nectar? I improved my posture. Where's the sweetness? I brought back the mind every time. Why is my realization not coming? I opened my heart. Why is there no breakthrough? But gate 4 says, stop trying to control revelation. Don't bring a sense of entitlement. We just have to wait properly. Sit properly. Hear properly. Cry properly. Wait properly. We say that mercy means Krishna reveals himself when he chooses, not when we demand. Who teaches this? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In Shikshashtakam. Even if you leave me brokenhearted by not being present before me, you're still my Lord. You see that? No entitlement. Mahaprabhu teaches all these gates in the Shikshashtakam. That's why we read Shikshashtakam before japa. It's all there. We just have to understand it in a structured way. What is Mahaprabhu doing by saying this? There's no entitlement. You are my Lord, you're my master, you can crush me by embrace, or you're not being present before me. It's okay, I'm still going to be here, I'm going to chant. Wait properly. We don't want to bring false entitlement. So what can we do when we realize this impermanent world cannot be depended upon? The Lord is the only one we can have dependence toward. We need to bring dependence, we need to bring patience and presence. And this is especially relevant for mature devotees, long practicing devotees. Because after years of sadhana, we may still subtly retain a commercial mentality towards spiritual life. Gate 4 burns that away. That is mature japa. Now next week, Lord Ram comes into our life on Thursday. And Lord Ram and japa is a very natural connection. He is very merciful. What does Lord Ram represent? He represents gravity. He represents dharma, nobility, fidelity under pressure. The Hindi saying, Raghukul Rita Sada Chaliyai, Prana Jaye Par Vachana Na Jaye. This is like the fidelity that I may die, but my word, my vow will never be shaken. He represents steadiness in truth. Think of the entire Ramayana. The kingdoms are not permanent. The palaces are not permanent. The political arrangements are not permanent. Family expectations are not permanent. Bodily comfort is not permanent. Forests replace royal chambers in a moment because exiled. Honor is tested. Relationships are tested. Loss happens. Separation comes. Danger comes. And yet, Lord Ram remains completely composed, smiling. Completely fixed in dharma, completely beautiful in his character. So as Ram Navami approaches, this verse we study today becomes even more meaningful. What shall we anchor our hopes on in the holy name? Hare Krishna and Hare Ram. See, so when we chant these names, we invoke the mercy of the Lord who embodies divine steadiness, divine beauty, composure amidst impermanence. So I'm going to summarize now the last 2 minutes. This verse is not merely condemning those karmis, the materialists out there somewhere. It's addressing us. Where am I still durmati? You know what mati means? Anybody know what mati means? You know, like sadhus, they give the blessing. Krishna mati astu. May your mati be toward Krishna. Mati means where is my direction in life? Where am I pointed? Where do I want to go? Your mati defines your gati. Your direction defines your destination. So if my life is pointed toward Krishna, everything else is taken care of because I just keep moving at my pace. But if it pointed anywhere else, it is durmati. We're going somewhere else. Where am I still durmati? Where am I still misguided? Where am I still treating the temporary as permanent? Where am I still living as though I have endless time to eventually become sincere? Kapil Dev is compassionately breaking that trance. The body is temporary. Its extensions are temporary. Its world is temporary. Its illusions are temporary. What is not temporary is the holy name. Therefore, the more clearly we see the instability of our material existence, the more naturally we'll run toward the one permanent shelter given to us in this age of Kali. Then our japa will change. At that point, it is no longer routine. When we take our japa seriously, our japa is not something that comes in the way of our day. Our day is something that comes in the way of our japa. That's how it should be. It's no longer symbolic. It's no longer a background obligation. It becomes the soul's deliberate return. And then the 4 gates are no longer just a teaching model. They become an anatomy of surrender. Sit properly. Listen properly. Cry properly. Wait properly. It's not a technique. It's a journey of our identity. Who am I really? Am I a distracted controller? A subtle enjoyer? Manager of temporary things? Or am I a servant standing before the eternal name with nothing to offer but sincerity? That is a question. And as Lord Ram's appearance day approaches, we may take shelter of the holy name with a new gravity inspired by the Lord. Not tomorrow, not after some future adjustment, not when life gets a little bit easier, now. Now, while we still have breath, while we still have beads, while we still have hands, while we still have one more morning, while the name is still calling us, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So thank you very much for your kind attention and your valuable time. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay, so we have some time for some discussions and sharing.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for speaking with such conviction and a sense of urgency. It's almost, for me, it's almost mystical, your class this morning, because I've been away for 3 months, and I just came here. And I was thinking that there's a japa revolution going on here in Vrindaban. And then you give this class. And so I hope all of us our takeaway from your class will be that we all become examples or leaders in that japa revolution to transform our lives. So I wanted to thank you so much. I also had a question. And you spoke a little bit about Lord Ram. You know, we see in the past times that Shurpanaka was attracted to Ram. And that's a good thing. And then, Krishna says, he who says he's my devotee, he's not my devotee, but he's a devotee of my devotee, he's my devotee. And Ravana was attracted to Sita, she's a devotee. So it seems like Shurpanaka and Ravana were both attracted to the right things. But we know that, from their motive, like you pointed out, wasn't proper. So, but I'm sorry, my question's a little convoluted here. But, we know that however you approach Krishna, you get purified. So we know that Ravana, he did get purified by being killed by Ram. But we never hear about Shurpanaka. What happened to her? Did she achieve some higher destination?
Yes, thank you. It's a good question. Definitely a question for the scholars, not for me. Did Shurpanaka achieve some higher destination? Anybody who approaches the Lord achieves a higher destination. We've seen that example after example. We may not know the details of what happened to some of them, but we know for a fact that happens. We know that happened to another demoness, very famous, Putana. In fact, I can recite a verse, maybe that'll give you joy. It is in the 10th canto, 14th chapter, verse number 35. I believe it's 35. You can look it up. 10, 14, 35. What is the 14th chapter, you know? It's the prayers of Lord Brahma to Krishna. After Brahma Vimohan Leela. After Brahma was bewildered. And then he offers these very beautiful prayers. And this one in particular, did you find it? Is it Esham Goshanivas? Okay. This particular one is very beautiful. Because in this prayer, Lord Brahma is just bewildered, just like Shurpankha, right? She attacked the Lord, so Putana attacked the Lord. And he says, Esham Ghoshanivasinam uta bhavan kim devarate tinash cheto vishva phalat phalam tvadaparam kutrapyayan muhyati sadveshadiva putanapi sakula tvameva deva pita tadhamartha suhrit priyatma tanaya pranashaya stvatkrita. He says, Esham Goshnima. He says, I'm bewildered, my Lord, that you who are, there's no greater benediction in the world than you yourself. You're the greatest gift that anyone can have. And you have given yourself already to Putana. For what? For doing what? What did she do that she deserved you as a gift? I mean, she's a demoness like Surpankha. She tried to kill him. But he said, Sadvesha diva putana bisakula. Sadvesh means what? Vesh means dress. Sadvesh means devotee dress. He says, just by pretending to be a devotee, she approached you and you gave her yourself. Not for being a devotee, for pretending. So how kind are you? And now that you've given yourself, you're bankrupt because you've already given yourself. What is there left for you to give to these residents of Vrindaban? Pranashaya stvatkrite. Those who have given their life, their hopes, their dreams, their bodies, their wealth, their families, everything completely to you. These Vrajavasis. My Lord, I'm bewildered. You're bankrupt. It's a poetic way of saying, my Lord, you're just so kind and so lenient, so giving. So there's no question that Surpanakha got something amazing. Maybe it's the details available in some Purana somewhere, I'm sure. But if not, we can get some solace from this verse in the 10th canto that gives us a clue. So it gives us a lot of hope too, because if Putana, just by dressing as a devotee and pretending to be a devotee, gets so much mercy, certainly there's some hope for us who are literally trying hard. We're trying to chant Krishna's name. We're trying to be good devotees. We're really trying to be sincere. That's why these demon stories are actually very uplifting. Sadveshadiya Putana api Sakula. Not just Putana. Sakula. Her whole family gets a family discount because of what she did. Bakasur, her brother, he got liberated because of her. Putana's another name is Baki. Baki means the sister of Baka. So, Putana api Sakula with her family. So imagine, like Krishna is so lenient and so magnanimous and so generous that you just need to be family connected with someone who pretended to be a devotee. Imagine if you're actually trying to be a devotee. So all of you who are trying to be devotees here, anybody who's even connected by family relationship, your brothers, sisters, cousins, second cousins, brother-in-laws, they all get benefit from the chanting you're doing. It's very, very valuable. So that much more serious we should be when we do it. Of course, we know Putana has a backstory in the previous life. She was in the Bali Maharaj story. I think you might have heard that one. I think she was the sister of Bali Maharaj. And when Vamanadev comes, Vamanadev is very cute, very short. He's a dwarf Brahman. He's adorable. He was basically like a baby. You want to squish him. So he was very cute with umbrella, pudgy, and So when she saw him, she's like, wow, what a cute, adorable little toddler, not a toddler, but she just wanted to embrace him. She said, "Oh, I wish I could just be his mother and breastfeed him, and it was just such a nice baby." So that the Lord registered that desire. Okay, you want to breastfeed me? Okay, done. You get to do that. And then when he became Trivikram and took over the whole thing and took over the whole universe, then she got really angry at him. Oh my God, such a child should be given poison. Okay, he registered that. Okay, you want to give me poison and breastfeed me? Got it. Check, check. Next life, she got to do both those things. The Lord fulfills all desires. Eko bahunam yo vidadhati kaman. The one fulfills the desires of all these, even the weird desires. He fulfills them at some point. And he liberates. So we can rest assured that what we do with sincerity will count. So my point in today's class is, let's make it count. We're not going to save more time by doing our job in a sloppy way. It's going to take the same amount of time. Might as well do it right. You want your japa to energize you, to feel that you got something out of it. You know? So definitely let us think of these demons, not in a demoniac kind of way, but as to showcase the infinite super mercy of the Lord. Thank you for your question. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much for the most important topic, right? So I have a question. So this sense of urgency, we all struggle with it, especially, I mean, even when we're aging, we still think we have more time. So when we're cultivating and working with young people, I find that trying to create a sense of urgency is even harder. Twofold, right? The life experiences, and they haven't dealt with pinpricks, if you will, in life yet. And so how do we create that sense of urgency, or how do we suggest to create that sense of urgency in young people that are interested in spirituality?
Yeah. Actually, young people who are interested in spirituality are very fortunate. They're very fortunate because the fact that they're interested in spirituality in itself is a rare thing for young people, first of all. You know? And what makes them particularly fortunate is that it's easy to change yourself when you're younger. It's harder to change yourself when you're older, or habits are difficult to undo and things like that. So young people have certain advantages. The disadvantage is that we think we have enough time. That's really the crux of the issue. So Prabhupada, of course, then we discuss these things. We talk about devotees who left at a young age. Prabhupada talks, what is old age? It's not old age. Old age means just before you die, that's old age. Some people die at age of 95, and some people die at the age of 5. We don't know when we're going to die. Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj is not that old. He's a young, healthy king. He had many years ahead of him. But he got cursed. It's an irreversible curse. How many days did he have to live? 7. He was very fortunate. How was he fortunate? He was fortunate because he knows for sure tomorrow he's not going to die. We don't know that. Sunday, he's not going to die. For sure, because he's cursed 7 days, irreversible curse. So Sunday, he's going to be around. We don't know that any of us are going to be around on Sunday. Or Monday. Of course, the chances are pretty high, but we base our assumptions on these statistics. Statistically, I'll be alive on Monday. But it's not 100%. Whereas with Parikshit Maharaj, it was 100%. Even then, he took it very seriously. We don't have 100% guarantee. We should take even more seriously than Parikshit Maharaj. So we have to frame it those ways. Also, it's good to, it's an important balance, because human psychology, when we're conditioned, is delicate. We can tend to overdo it, and it doesn't work anymore. We just tend to be more and more morbid in our examples. At some point, even that, people watch horror movies that are so ghastly, it doesn't even move the needle anymore. Back then, in the 70s, we made horror movies a little bit, now we laugh at them. They're comedy movies now. So there's only so much we can do with morbidity. We do need to bring in deep reflection and reminder in a sattvic kind of way. Reflect on this, my dear child. You know, as you see the world around you, you know what's the most amazing thing, the most mind-blowing thing in the world? Parikshit Maharaj, no, Yudhishthira Maharaj was asked, what's the most mind-blowing thing in the world? And he said that everyone's seeing around them that everyone is dying, but they think they're not going to die. There's a reason why that's the correct answer, because that is the mind-blowing thing. We are very deeply conditioned to think we're not going to die. Because it's true, we are not going to die. But we have transposed it on the wrong thing. That's what brings back to this verse, is we think the permanent is impermanent, and things that are consequential, we disregard them, and we invest everything in things that are utterly inconsequential. So we have to keep discussing these things. Joke about them also, it's fine. Some kids respond more to humor. Humor is actually very effective when you can joke about it nicely, in a good way, make them laugh. Even if you make a really stale joke, they'll laugh at how stale the joke was, and they'll remember it. It's true. Like if the joke is so lame, you just want to laugh and laugh. Not at the joke, but the lameness of it. So same way, just bring up the point, joke about it, talk about it seriously. You don't need to be grumpy and be negative every time. Look at this, look at this, another bombing in the school, so many kids die. See, be a devotee. You don't need to be that way. That gets old really fast. You have to find a way that gets through. Yes, thank you so much. Great question. Yes, Prabhu. I think we're almost out of time, but sure, we do one more.
Thank you for those beautiful examples. Help make it easy to understand. My question is very silly. Okay.
I love those.
So we hear there's a lot of recordings available for all these japas or Bhagavad Gita or any of those. We could sit and listen to them, or we could sit and chant, and chant, especially when we're not very good at the Sanskrit language. The chanting is not maybe the best of the phonetics, etc. What's the difference between the two?
Between what two?
Listening to someone else singing and us chanting.
Okay. What's the difference between listening to someone else reciting the verses, you mean, the Sanskrit?
Yes, and keep listening to them. Or we sit and we chant them.
Sure. So, in the 9 processes of bhakti, all 9 are considered very powerful. And you listed the first 2, Shravana and Kirtana. Shravana means listening, and Kirtana means reciting or singing. It's important for us to sing the names of the Lord. It's very important for us to recite it ourselves. Of course, we're talking about the holy names, but even same thing with verses, especially Bhagavad Gita verses, Srimad Bhagavatam verses, Chaitanya Charitamrita verses. Each of these verses are also mantras. They liberate us. So it's important for us to also recite them. Now, you don't need to worry so much about the pronunciation. The pronunciation isn't very important. The important thing is the way you call out, the bhav. See? Murkho vadati Vishnaya, dhiro vadati Vishnave. There's a verse that says, the fool or the uneducated person says Vishnaya. That's a grammatically incorrect way of saying. It says, but the educated person says, dhiro vadati Vishnave. So the fool says Vishnaya, and then the educated person says Vishnave properly. But Krishna is Bhava Grahi Janardana. He takes the bhava. So if the person who's saying it grammatically incorrect but he has a lot of feeling, Krishna will take that more than person who's pronouncing it very pakka, but his feeling is not there. You see. So the main thing is to bring our feeling. So we hear for sure, try to chant as best as we can. And then offer it to Krishna. It's important for us to recite also because we want to vibrate in our body. It purifies our body, purifies those around us. So both are important. It's not that one is different than the other. We need both of them. See? Okay? Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hari Bol.
प्रेमामृतां वनिधि धीर धीर जन प्रिय प्रिय करो नेम करौ पूजित श्री चैतन्य कृपा भरौ भुवि भुव भारा वहन तारक वंदे रूप सनातन रघुजुगो श्री जीव गोपाल वंदे रूप सनातन रघुजुगो श्री जीव गोपाल कृष्ण कीर्तन गान कृष्ण कीर्तन गान नर्तन परम प्रेम में वीर वीर जन प्रिय प्रिय करो निमा पूजितम श्री चैतन्य कृपा भरौ श्री चैतन्य कृपा भरौ भुवि भुव मारव अंतरक वंदे रूप सनातन रघुजुगौ श्री जीव गोपाल शास्त्र विचारणे सद्धर्म संस्थापक लोकानां हितकारिणं त्रिभुवने मन्नं शरणं करो विचारणैकनिपुना सद्धर्म संस्थापक लोकानां हितकारिणां त्रिभुवने मन्नं शरणं धर्म संस्थापक लोकानां हितकारिणां त्रिभुवने मन्नं शरणं श्री चैतन्य कृपा बरौ लोकानां हितकारिणां त्रिभुवने मन्नं शरणं विचारणैकनिपुणं तद्धर्म संस्थापक लोकानां हितकारिणां त्रिभुवने मन्नं शरणाकरं Radha Krishna Radha Krishna Padara Vindau Madana-gopāla Radha Krishna Padara Vindau Madana Nandena Mattalika Vande Rupa Sanatanam Raghujugal Sisi Krishna Kitana Dana Natala Parau Veera, Veera, Janapriya, Nirma, Pujita, Sri Chaitanya, Kripa Bharau, Bhubi Bhuba, Mara, Manta, Rakau. Rupa Sanatana Raghujuga Akvasuda Sadashude Sudev Sudarajalakim Dharnischa Ajavadasa Jadagada Ranna Mandalasani Sada Tuchava भूत्वा दीनगणे छकौ करुणया तक्वासु मंडलपति शनि सदा तुच्छव भूत्वा दीनगणे छकौ करुणया कौपीनकण्ठास्थितौ गोपी भावरसामृताब्दलहरी गोपी भावरसामृताब्दलहरी कल्लो लमग्नं वन्दे रूप सनातनं रघुजुगौ श्रीजी भगो पालक राधे हे राधे ब्रज देविके च हे नन्दसूना कुतः राधे ब्रज देविके च ललिते हे नन्दसूना कुतः श्री गोवर्धन पादपतले कालिन्दी वने कुतः राधे ब्रज देविके च ललिते हे नन्दसूना कुतः श्री गोवर्धन पादपतले कालिन्दी वने कुतः गोसंता